Former U.S. President Donald Trump has survived an alleged assassination attempt. Trump was addressing a political rally in Pennsylvania when shots rang out from the crowd. A bullet grazed his right ear before the suspected shooter was gunned down by the Secret Service. Trump has since received medical attention and is doing well.
Take a look at what happened.
Gunfire erupted at a Donald Trump rally in Butler, Pennsylvania on Saturday, sparking panic in the crowd as Secret Service agents rushed in to swarm around the Republican presidential candidate. Trump emerged with blood on his right cheek and ear, and he defiantly pumped his fist in the air before being ushered to a waiting car. The shooter was dead, and the Secret Service was investigating the shooting as an assassination attempt, a source told Reuters. The Secret Service and the former president's campaign said Trump was safe following the shooting. Another person was in critical condition, said a Washington Post reporter on social media, citing the Butler County District Attorney. The shooter's identity and motives were not immediately clear. The shooting occurred less than 4 months before the November 5th election, when Trump faces Democratic President Joe Biden.
U.S. President Joe Biden has strongly condemned the incident.
There's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like this. We cannot condone this. But the bottom line is that the Trump rally was a rally that he should have been able to be conducted peacefully without any problem. But the idea that there's political violence or violence in America like this is just unheard of. It's just not appropriate. Everybody must condemn it.
For more on this alleged assassination attempt on Donald Trump, let's chat to Professor Christopher Isike. He is the director at the African Center for the Study of the United States at the University of Pretoria. Professor, good morning, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Firstly, based on media reports, what do we know so far?
Well, it's pretty much what you have reported, which is that there was gunshots and sounds, and it is alleged that the former President Trump was grazed in the ear with a bullet. I think he has come out on social media to indicate that he felt a piercing on his ears and ducts. So he's been treated as an alleged assassination attempt. It's all speculative at this point because the FBI has taken over the investigation. They are cooperating with the police department of Pennsylvania. So what we do know is that one person died from this incident, and another person is critically injured. Trump is safe. He's undergone medical checks and he's been pronounced okay. Whether he's able to attend the Republican Party National Convention on Monday, where he's supposed to be, where he's supposed to become the nominee of the party officially, as well as also name a vice presidential candidate, remains to be seen. However, he seems to be okay considering his immediate reaction before he was whisked out of the venue of the rally in Pennsylvania.
From the little that we know, or based on speculation, was this a politically motivated attack? Well,
we can only speculate at this point because we don't have all the information, and maybe speculation is not such a good thing to do, but it was a political rally. Trump himself is a very divisive figure. He spews a lot of hate. So it's not totally shocking, given how Americans, some of them, respond to issues like this, that someone may want to take things in their own hands. We know that they have a history of lone shooters, attempting to kill the president, or actually killing the president, as they did in the case of John F. Kennedy, so it's not something that is totally unheard of. But when you are a candidate, a political candidate in a political rally, you spew hate and divisiveness, there may be people who will take it personal and come at you. The FBI has not ruled out the probability of any kind of connection, international connection with any kind of terrorist group, but it's very likely that it's a lone shooter, someone who probably is not impressed by Mr. Trump's rhetoric and decided to take matters into their own hands. But again, this is not yet known. These are just speculations that we can only make, and ones we can make safely at this point.
Professor, how does this reconfigure the election debate, and does this work in Trump's favor?
Well, you could say, and this is what is curious to a lot of observers, the fact that, there was a gunshot, he clutched his ears, when at that moment, if you watch the clips carefully, there was no blood on him, but when he ducked and then the Secret Service agents surrounded and protected him with their bodies, by the time he got up, there were blood stains, and he had the presence of mind at that moment to raise a very triumphant fist pumping that energized, his crowd. So it takes a certain presence of mind for anyone who should be in shock to be able to recognize the TV moment that can create for a candidate and actually then respond immediately. And so that's the reality. And so if you look at that imagery of him saying we fight, we move on, it will be something that will resonate well. There have been interviews of some of his supporters at the rally who indicated that they cannot be stopped and that they would march ahead. So you may find sympathies swaying in his favor. But again, he's not one that is known to be very truthful. So there are already all kinds of conspiracy theories around whether this is real or whether it was not stage managed or not. However, all of this helps to put a lot of attention on him. You will notice that since the debate 2 weeks ago, the whole attention has been on the President Biden, and this will eventually now have to shift attention to him for good or bad reasons. Because, for instance, it will raise questions around, gun control in the country. It will also raise questions if, for instance, the identity of this person is revealed to be an immigrant. It will be a good talking point for the Republican Party, right? To say, look, you see, now we've been so porous that immigrants can come in and shoot at the former president. If that is not the case, then it will be a question of, should we begin to regulate, gun control in the country, gun access to guns in the country, and that can then become a talking point for the Democrats. So it will become a political issue on both sides, depending on the details that come out of the investigation of the FBI.
And in the videos coming out in the media, we see right after the shooting, as he's being whisked off the stage, Donald Trump is pumping his fist in the air and shouting, "Fight, fight, fight." Firstly, is this not an incitement of violence? And also, does this not fuel the speculation of the idea that this was a politically motivated attack?
Well, it does. Clearly, in a political rally where you have a candidate that spews hate and divisiveness, like I said, you will find people who don't agree with his messaging wanting to take matters into their own hands. It is also curious that this shooting happened within 500 meters from the rally area, and that is within shooting range of where the president was standing. Ordinarily, it is curious that that kind of area is let off and declared as outside the security zone, right? If it is a place where a shot can be taken and can reach the president or former president, usually it is included in the security cordon. And if that is not the case, there is going to be questions around why this was not treated as such. So a lot of questions that need to be answered. However, like you said, in that kind of environment, anything is possible. I mean, based on his reaction alone, it is correct that the crowd may be buoyed up by his response to show strength. It may not necessarily be to incite violence, but to invoke sympathy, to invoke camaraderie between him and his supporters. And I think that is one of those few politicians in the world that really know how to rile his support base.
Thank you very much for your time, Professor. That was Professor Isike, who's the director at the African Center for the Study of the United States at the University of Pretoria.